All right, everybody, welcome to the live stream. Tonight we are painting Death Korps of Krieg. Finishing up on some of my half-finished pile of shame, working through my backlog. I'm a huge fan of the old Forge World resin Death Korps, and I was trying to figure out why I like it so much more than the current plastics that Games Workshop is released, and I think it's because of this right here, the gas mask. These old style cloth anteater looking gas masks look so much better than the current ones in plastic, I think. They're just so iconic of the Death Korps of Krieg, like their look. It kind of like tapers into like a plague doctor looking mask. I'm such a fan of that style. I think it's really cool. I like also painting these las rifles, these old looking World War I type las rifles. All right, so we're assembly line painting. We're working our way through. I'll put the other guys that I've already finished. Here are my two test models. I put those in the back. These are from the 113 regimen, and then these guys are just needing their transfers and base work. And then got the sergeant here. Then we'll put the rest of these guys that I'm working on down here. Hello, Frogstercraft. Welcome to the stream. Been working on these guys for a while, so it's nice to get them to the finish line all together. I think my biggest weakness as a painter is I'm really interested in something, and I work up all of my tools and skills that I need to do a test model, or even two, like you see in the back, and then I get distracted by something else, or something doesn't sit right with me with the process, so I just decide, you know what, I'll finish it later, and I never do. So it's going to be fun for me to finish it tonight. That's my goal, tonight on the stream. And if you've been following my work, you'll know that I'm also working on some word bearers for Warhammer 30K. I've got one last miniature to finish for that squad, so hopefully we can get to that tonight as well. Bunch of different things we're doing on stream tonight. Well, those are cool. Thank you, Amelia. They're resin miniatures from a company called Forge World. They're for a game called Warhammer 40K. They redid these guys in plastic, but I'm a huge fan of the old resin models. And I think, as I've mentioned before, it's because of these gas masks. They look so much better in the resin miniatures than in plastic. I have not been asleep yet. Oh, hi, Austin. Well, that's okay, me neither. Grown-ass man at 4 in the morning. 4 in the morning? It's only 2:09 where I am. My daughters are trying to sleep. We're sleep training them, so this is what I'm doing while I'm keeping my ear open for them. Are these veteran guardsmen or are they kill team skull muncher? These are the old school resin, just infantry squads. I think these were infantry firing. So before Games Workshop did the veteran kill team, veteran guardsman models with them, they were only available in resin through Forge World. They're very finicky because their barrels were always warped. Every time I would get a new kit, the barrels would be warped because they were in resin, right? So you'd have to fix each one by dipping it in some hot, hot water. It was not fun, but I think they just look so much better. They look more like handcrafted. I like the way they all look better. And I'll show you how I do the Death Korps of Krieg metal, the silver, that dark iron look that they have. It's pretty cool. I've developed a pretty cool technique for it. I am so tired. Austin, go to sleep. It's only 2 a.m. It's 11 a.m. at my end. Matt, are you somewhere in Europe? Matt Reeks, what do you do in the game? It's like a board game, but with miniatures, with these little miniatures. So you and your opponent, you come to the game with an army picked out and planned out. You agree on like a set point cost, and then you pick the miniatures that represent a certain amount of points, and then you play it on a table with a bunch of scenery. You roll a bunch of dice, you have a good time, and yeah, it's a fun game. I haven't played the game in a while. I've been busy raising my family, so in the meantime I've been enjoying the hobby through the painting aspect of it. I paint the miniatures. I like to make videos on how I paint them and the different techniques I like to use. And then when I am all done with them, I sell them on eBay so that I can afford to buy more. Austin, thank you for the 99-cent super chat. That is awesome. That is fantastic. Thank you. I'm trying to get into painting myself with Gunpla. Okay. Anchorfed. Forge World sucks with the warping. Yep, that's right. Love the look. Thank you, Kale. Awesome. Amelia, where did you get such a small brush? I paint and I've never seen a small brush. I get a lot of these now on Amazon. They come in packs for like miniature painting. So they're smaller size brushes, and you can get some really small. I think I've got, this is a Windsor, is this a Winsor Newton? No, this is a Vallejo Precision Synthetic brush. But they make some pretty small ones to get to. Some of these have eyes. Here, let me show you some of these word bearers I've been working on. So in order to get to like the script work or to paint the tiny details, you need a small-ish brush. And there you can see I did some script work there. Austin, thank you for another super sticker. Fantastic, thank you, sir. My unpainted Krieg cry on the shelf. Well, the only Kakashi, I think you should join me. Bust them out right now. Let's get to painting. We'll all paint our Krieg together. Thank you, Kale, for subscribing. It looks good. Yeah, here, let me show you my favorite technique for painting these. The gas masks are so iconic to this army, the Death Korps of Krieg. But if you have your, they have these different kinds of paints, right, to paint them. And this is called the contrast paint, which means you use it a little differently than these layer paints to build up colors. And oh, let me paint the wood stock on this guy's rifle first. I'm painting a squad of Kill Team Krieg at the moment. Is that the new plastic ones? My pile of shame is non-existent. I get a set, I build it, and I paint it. I've never had enough to get multiple kits at a time. That's the way to go, Skull Muncher. It kind of looks like a plague doctor. Amelia, you are so spot on. It does. And I think this is why a lot of people enjoy the old resin kill team guy, or not kill team, the old resin Krieg infantry, because they have these like fluted plague doctor looking gas masks that you don't really see. When they made them into plastic, started making them into plastic, they gave them skull plates. They made them look more uniform and shaped, and they lost this weird World War I trench warfare aesthetic. Good night. I will, gotta go. I will log on YouTube tomorrow. Well, Austin, I'm glad you're gonna get some sleep. Good night. Good night, my friend. Which faction is your favorite? I tend to like the Astra Militarum, these guys, the Imperial Guard, because they're just regular human beings, you know? They're regular humans fighting horrible superhuman monsters and the horrors of the universe that are arrayed against humanity. And it's like the struggle of humankind in the stars to just basically survive. I think that's very heroic, inspiring, whatever you want to call it. I think it's very like inspiring and motivating and makes me want to collect them. Of course, you could play like as a super soldier, space marine, and the giant armor and with the big weapons, or you could play like an alien monster. They even have like space elves. If you're not familiar with Games Workshop's setting, Warhammer 40K has these elves in space called Eldar, and they're a fun faction to paint. There's just all these different races. They've all got their own reasons to want to survive and win in space. But my favorite has always been the little guy, the regular old human that had to put on some armor, pick up a gun, and try not to get eaten alive or completely atomized by all the horrors of the universe. Ever since I was a kid, I've really liked, like in Warhammer Fantasy, the fantasy game, I like playing the Empire of humankind more than the elves or the dwarves or the other monsters. I like playing just regular humans. And I don't consider myself like a very good painter. I think I paint pretty well, like high tabletop standard, but I wouldn't consider myself an expert painter. I just really want to paint as well as I can and to share with other people. Because I think a lot of us, you know, we want to be better painters if we're in this hobby, but we're never going to be like Golden Demon winners. And most of us just want to paint to get these models on the tabletop. So I like to paint and share what I know to encourage people to up their game as much as they can. And if you want to go farther, if you want to learn advanced, like super advanced techniques to paint, then I'm all for that. I think I've kind of stopped at where my level of expertise is. But I'll show off some of my favorite painted models recently. I think that'll be fun as we move into the 13th minute of this live stream. Oh, let me take a look at some of these chats. Right. What do you think of Trench Crusade? I think the models are terrific. I don't have any, and I think I'm kind of up to my eyeballs in Warhammer 40K stuff. But I would like to collect and paint some of the Trench Crusade stuff. They're terrific. The plastic Krieg don't look as good, Kale. I'm right there with you. The blue-gray is nice. I'm still pretty new at painting. Seeing minis that are painted well and look achievable with little effort is great. That's what my channel is all about, The Only Kakashi. I will gladly stand by you with that. What year are these? Are they from back when Astra Militarum had sick commissars, or modern where it's all uniform? This is back in the early 2000s. They had a campaign through Forge World called the Siege of Vrax, where they introduced this faction, the Death Corps of Krieg, and it was such a cool faction at the time. They developed everything for them: infantry, heavy weapons, commissars, and that's what it's for. Quick question: do the Citadel sprays work as primer? I use them as primer, but Mechanicus Gray is like my go-to primer. Most of the rattle cans are meant to be primer. Yep, that's right. I'm also thinking of swapping to spray primer. Curious about airbrushes. Airbrushing is a whole different skill. I highly recommend it if you want to get better at painting. I'm just not good at it. Hey, Beanie 40K, how's it going? It's pretty good. All paints are primers. I just finished the Siege of Vrax book. Very good if you like Krieg. Yeah, it's such a great resource. And they introduced a lot of stuff in that book, like the Chaos Trader Guard, all of that stuff. There's a lot of great stuff in there. Okay, so this is how I do my really cool looking black iron. Do you play orcs, or is it just your mascot? I don't play orcs, but I love orcs. I love to paint them. I first collected them. I think they're terrific. It was my first fantasy army, Orcs and Goblins. What do you think of the new style of guardsmen? I think they're not as good as the older models. Okay, you know what? I'm actually quite fond of the new guardsmen. I like the individual. They're just more complicated to paint. Like before, they were so easy. They're big and cartoony looking, and they all had similar poses. These new Cadian shock troopers are very individual, and they all have like individual little pieces to them. They're meant to look more like individuals than a cohesive squad of like a blob squad, I think. So using this, I've already painted my eye lenses in lead belcher, which is silver. So when I put the black Templar primer into dot, it gives them a very soulless, robotic look. Like you can't see their eyeballs. And I think that's really cool. I think that fits them. I also use black Templar to paint the metal plates on the back of their gloves, as well as their shoulder pads, their shoulder plates. So we're taking the silver of their armor and we're just covering it with this black Templar paint. So you're gonna see when the black Templar dries, you're gonna see like a dull, silvery undertone, metallic undertone, but it's gonna look better. And it's gonna look like what I consider to be the classic Krieg dark iron look. They all need to be cheaper. Yes, they do. I think that's across the board. I play orcs, but the new models are so less grimdark. Yep, I play a newer army with that deep green heavy metal skin, and they are killer. Nice. Random question, what food are you craving right now? Rocky Road ice cream. But I'm always craving Rocky Road ice cream, so that might not be a good question because I love me some Rocky Road ice cream. Cookies and cream is pretty good too. I actually, because of Father's Day, I have a piece of chocolate cake that has been sitting on the table from the fridge. It hasn't been sitting on the table since Father's Day, but I took it out of the fridge intending to eat it before I started this live stream. And I just wanted to get started. So it's sitting there and I'm gonna have to get to it at some point. But chocolate cake, pizza, ice cream. I think I'm a kid. It's Freaky Friday. I'm a little kid trapped in a 40-year-old's body. Doner kebab. Do you use a magnifying device for painting or do you eyeball it? I eyeball it. I'm lucky enough to have pretty good near sight. I have horrible farsightedness. Or what's that called? I have horrible vision. I have to wear glasses, like I cannot see more than 3 feet in front of my face. But I'm pretty good at seeing up close. You also don't need to paint the silver rifles or their, what I call their breathing tube that goes down to their rebreather packs. That's awesome. I'm actually like pretty surprised. It's not even 20 minutes in and I've gotten a couple of super chats. That's really amazing for me. I'm like super grateful. I found, you know what, guys? I don't know what it is. It might be the moon or just some kind of like cosmic energy, but I've been very blessed and very lucky. And I hope that all of you are blessed too. I also play Templar, but it's hard to be grimdark when you're devoted to your sword. I would pick up a Dreadnought if I could afford it. Yep, Ankafade. Hey, the one from the past. Hello. Hello. Hello, Asthma. The tubes on the new models suck to glue so bad. Yeah. They seem to over-design a lot of the new models in every army. I never thought to use Black Legion over silver. Oh, this is actually Black Templar, but I think if you've got a Black Legion contrast paint, the same thing would happen. The reason why I use it is because it usually dries matte. Sometimes it dries kind of glossy, but I think this guy, look, it's dried pretty matte on him, and this is the look that I really like. If you use just like Abaddon black, it's gonna go on so dark, and you're not gonna see this like interesting looking matte finish under the light. I think it looks really cool, and it looks like Krieg to me. It just shouts Krieg. And if you wanted to, you could take some silver paint and do some scratches or some like weathering damage, but I think it looks fine the way it is. I'm very, very happy with how this whole squad is coming together. The one from the past, thank you very much. Wow. Another super chat. That's so awesome. Thank you. My whole channel is like about spreading positivity in this hobby. This hobby can get really negative if you think about the cost of these miniatures, the time it takes to paint, some of the business practices of the company. But I've always been a huge like supporter of the community that this hobby grows. My old community in Hawaii was so fun and supportive, and everybody loved the game and loved painting, and nobody was like what I would consider like a power gamer that just wanted to rule the tables. Like everybody loved supporting each other. And when you would see someone bringing a new army to the table, then it's just so cool to see and support. Yeah, it does require patience and practice. So it's a hobby, but like it's teaching you a skill to practice and get better and to experiment. And the thing is, all of this stuff takes money, right? This costs money, like most hobbies out there. So you want to make sure that you're, when you engage in the hobby, when you're painting, when you're trying out new techniques, if you find something that doesn't work for you, like any hobby, like any art, if you find something that sucks or that you think, I didn't like that experience, I didn't have fun painting that, and now I'm discouraged from painting anything else like that, I want you to remember the hobby is just like it's as involving as you want it to be. And if you want to be a better painter, you're going to go through some of these like setbacks, and you're going to need a lot of patience. First live stream for me, but I love the shorts. Oh, thank you. I find books are a good intro money-wise. Yes. Also, shout out to Adeptus Ridiculous. They kept me sane while working a factory job. I'm going to go to bed. Oh, thank you, Amelia, for hanging out. Have a great night. I'm really glad you found me too. I hope you subscribe. You like the Tau railgun I have made for my Repulsor Executioner? I do. Yes. The one from the past. You're really knocking it out of the park with what you're finding and what you're able to accomplish. If you're not, for everybody else, if you're not a member of my Discord, then I hope you click the link in the description and get on my Discord and see some of the work that other people are doing, especially the one from the past. Like, everyone's doing really great with this summer project that I've got, this summer challenge to paint all of your minis in your backlogs, your to-do, your piles of shame. And the one from the past has really got so many amazing models for Death Watch. So check it out. And I'm just painting as much of a different range of models as I can. Like I'm trying to paint as much different stuff as I can. Do you like the Tau lore-wise? I think they're interesting. I think they're interesting lore-wise. When I was getting out of the hobby in the early 2000s, I had other stuff going on. That's when they released the Fire Warrior video game. And I thought, oh, Warhammer 40K. And I think they were just really developing Tau as a faction. So they wanted to have this video game tie-in where, like, I'm just so used to playing as a Space Marine and them using Space Marines as their poster boys. So this video game focused on where the main character was just like a Tau Fire Warrior. I thought it was a really interesting direction to take. But it didn't really get me back in the hobby. What got me back in the hobby was just going to my local game store on a game night and seeing some people rolling dice. It was like dwarves versus wood elves, I think. And seeing two painted armies reminded me when I was a kid and I used to play and collect. And I was like, I want to get back in this hobby. I want to learn how to paint miniatures. I want to paint an army and I want to bring them to the table. Because like, it was one of those games where everybody in the room was interested in what was happening. Like people were shouting and laughing and screaming and everyone was having a good time. And when you have a good time in these games and like it creates this energy where everybody in the room starts having a good time because you're having a good time. So I remember that. And that inspired me to go back out and pick up my first box set. Because most of us, we engage in the hobby when we're young, like we have an older friend or a cousin or someone in the family that plays or collects, and we go and we're like, oh, okay, I'll pick up a box of Space Marines. But we don't really paint it, or we're not that great at it. And then after the the famous 10-year hiatus, we come back to it and we're like, okay, I want to get serious. I want to play this game. I want to engage in the community. I want to learn how to paint. And then you go and you spend all this money on painting supplies and on different kits and everything. So that's that's where I got back into it. And then I was like, there's no resources. If you're enjoying this game, but you go online and you're like, how do I paint this Space Marine? There was no one at the time. The Warhammer YouTube community was very small. And so I started YouTube with the intent of just cataloging my experience as a painter. I just wanted to have a record of what I was doing as a painter, because nobody was doing YouTube at the time to make a living or to make money or to blow up and go viral. Nobody knew what that was. And then this was like back in 2009. And now it's just become like, I want to grow a community. I want to pass my love of painting on to other people. And I want to share my love of painting and have a record of it. So when my kids grow up, they can go online and see that their dad was a total nerd. All right, let's check these comments. 40 plus unpainted. Oh, Kakashi. Those are rookie numbers. You got to up those numbers, as Matthew McConaughey said in Wolf of Wall Street. I think I've got like 40 plus unpainted miniatures just under my table right now. I've got a whole garage full of bins. I've been collecting for so long, and I've got so many unpainted models. And my wife, my lady boss, is trying to get me to paint and sell and paint and sell. And she's like, your Warhammer models are gonna pay for our kids' preschool tuition. And I said, all right, I can live with that. Because I'd rather have my painted models go on eBay and get me some money so that I can go out and buy more unpainted models. All right, what's your inspiration for painting, man? Do you do it for the tabletop or I do it so that I can sell it on eBay. For me, it's relaxing and calming. Yep, that's right, Kale. I have no idea how to play the game. I was really into the game for a while. I watched all these YouTube videos, and then it just became too hard with all the new releases, and they kept updating the rules. And then it was during Warhammer Fantasy 7th edition where I was like busy with some stuff, and I hadn't had the chance to paint or to play. I was just painting miniatures. And then I realized I had not played a single game. I hadn't played a single game, and I was so, and then the new edition rolled around of Warhammer Fantasy, and I was like, okay, I'm officially out of it. Like, I don't know what is going on in this hobby anymore. All I know is I really like the miniatures. The miniatures keep getting updated, and that's all that mattered to me. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put a hold on my love for this hobby as a to play. I'm just gonna put a hold on that so that I can focus on painting, and I want to get good at painting, and I want that to be my my engagement in the hobby. So it's been much more relaxing and calming, not having to stress about rules and making lists and going to game nights anymore. And that helped a lot, especially when I started growing my family, having children. Because then it's like I am literally unable to play anymore. My favorite gold paint is this paint that I'm using. I sometimes get asked what it is. It is Scale Color Metal and Alchemy Necro Gold. I think it looks the best of any gold paint I've ever used, and it's my favorite. So if you wonder, what is this gold paint I'm using? That's it. I don't, actually, I take it back. I have a lot of Age of Sigmar miniatures. I was really into painting the Soulblight Gravelords, which is like the vampire skeleton faction. I was really into that because one of my favorite armies in the old Warhammer Fantasy range was the Vampire Counts. I loved that aesthetic of the gothic vampires and the like Bram Stoker Dracula, skeletons and zombies and undead stuff. And then when they moved to Age of Sigmar from Warhammer Fantasy, it just didn't seem as fun to me to collect and paint them. And then they came out with that game, remember? Cursed City, the Warhammer Quest. That was a fun game. And that reignited everybody's love for Soulblight Gravelords, because then they released all the new zombies and the new skeletons. I feel like it didn't take off after that, though. Like, they kind of hit a slump again. Nobody was really into all of the new vampire models that they were coming out with, and I don't think Warhammer Cursed City did the numbers that they wanted it to. But they did have some pretty cool models, like that one vampire that was like like all about summoning rats. Kritska, Prince Kritska, the Rat Prince. Like, they had a lot of cool concepts for models. All right, 41 people in the chat. I think this is the most people I've had hanging out in a live stream. So welcome, welcome. Let me know what armies you're working on. I'm always interested to see, like, if people are working on an army in my audience. Like, what are you painting? What's on your table? Also, thank you for the super chats so far. If you are interested in supporting my work and helping me to continue trying to post content, then I hope you consider sending me a super chat. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Everyone's getting hyped for the Saturnine release, the new Horus Heresy 3rd edition game. I remember when Games Workshop was releasing like Betrayal at Calth, and then the Space Wolves versus Thousand Suns release, the beginning of the Horus Heresy craze, where they were doing plastic models. It wasn't just Forge World coming out with the Horus Heresy era miniatures. That was a fun time. And then they went from Betrayal at Calth to like the Age of Darkness. That was like their first edition, where they went from the Forge World miniatures to more plastic. These models that I'm painting right now are called the Ashen Circle. They were from that first wave of like early 2010s Forge World specific Horus Heresy era miniatures. Let's give this book a reddish binding. That'd be pretty fun. We are getting to the end of this squad. So one of the things I do on my channel, WarbossTae, is that I set up these crazy challenges. We've got a all summer long challenge right now to paint a global goal of 5,000 miniatures. It's called the Gray Crusade. So if you have miniatures you're working on, if you've got a pile of potential that you want to get through this year, this summer, then I hope you consider joining our Gray Crusade. You can find all the details in the Discord. Oh my gosh, another, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chat, Ankafade. I appreciate it so much. Gotta give that a heart. Thank you so much. $5. Oh man, I am indebted to you. What a great community here. All right, let's paint his grill in silver. Yeah, so what I like to do is in when I was not a kid, but when I was in the early 2010s, when a lot of these miniatures were released by Forge World, I was a working guy. I had a job, and I was trying to save money. So I would see Games Workshop releasing all of these miniatures, and I didn't spend the money on them. I needed the money. I was broke. So now that I am a little bit more, I don't want to say I'm not wealthy by any stretch, but I have enough saved up in my funds where I can afford to purchase some Forge World stuff every once in a while. And I've been accumulating my collection. And so this summer, for my Great Crusade challenge, I wanted to share some of the miniatures that I've acquired and that I've been slowly building up in my collection, because I've been collecting them and gaining them, but they've just been sitting unpainted. And I don't want them to be unpainted. I want to paint these miniatures. And so I want to share them with you guys, and I'm really having a great time doing more of these live streams. I've stopped doing as many long form videos. I want to get back to doing those, like video painting guides. The only thing with that is that nobody watches them. And right now I've got more people in my live stream audience than I have in some painting tutorials that I posted like months ago. So I think YouTube just isn't showing my long tutorials to people. Not enough people are liking and watching them, so I'm just gonna do what YouTube likes to send people to, which is these live streams. And that's totally fine with me. I've got a bunch of Forge World stuff. Here's a little sneak peek at what I want to get to after I'm done with my Krieg. This is a Forge World Space Wolves Contemptor Dreadnought. And the eBay person I bought it from put him on some cork for his base, and he looks absolutely phenomenal. And he's in Forge World resin, and the vendor was nice enough to like prime him in Mechanicus Standard Gray. Speaking of Mechanicus Standard Gray rattle can, and tonight, hopefully, I want to paint him up. So this is on the block for later, maybe in the second hour, in about like 22 minutes. Once I get done with my Krieg and my Ashen Circle, then we can get onto this big boy. But it's stuff like this that I like to paint. I've collected them. They've been sitting in my closet and in bins, and I'm finally able to share them. Yeah, everybody's getting ready for the new version of Horus Heresy to drop. Everybody's talking about the different legions they want to play at, how they want to build all the new models coming out. And I'm just excited to get new marks of armor, these Mark II armor Space Marines. I like to play Night Lords, or not play, but I like to collect and paint Night Lords. So these are going to be a lot of fun to work with. All right, the last thing I'm going to do before I put the basing on, is I'm going to use Basilicum Gray to shade some of these areas. Every time I do this panel lining, I always get nervous, like if I'm doing too much in an area or whatever. But they always say, you know, the only way for you to learn what works and what doesn't is to actually do it. And I found that especially true for this hobby. Don't let yourself get complacent just buying a miniature. I hope that you actually paint the miniatures you buy. and don't be scared to paint. I've known a lot of people in my time as a hobbyist who collect and buy and spend. They spend all this money and they want to paint, but they're not comfortable painting. They're not confident in their own abilities, so they end up never painting. And I think that's just the saddest thing, because then they never these people never show off their armies. They never take them out because they're not painted, and they end up just sitting in bins in their houses. So I hope, my greatest wish for you is that you paint your miniatures, you're happy with them, and maybe even if you're not happy with them, if you're just learning and you're like, you know what, I think I can do better, I'll learn some techniques and come back and try this again later, then I think that will make the community even stronger. I hope you paint. I hope you like painting. And I hope you paint your miniatures. My wife, my lady boss, she says I talk too much on these live streams. So I'm gonna shut my cake hole for a little bit and just put brush to mini. Okay, now I'm gonna use Nuln Oil instead of my Black Templar black contrast paint. This is a black wash, so this is meant to go over things like silver, and just gonna have it darken down the gun a little bit. Let's paint this black. All right, then I'm going to do a little bit more in the back on the turbine. I'm so happy I'm done with this model. Now I can take some pictures of it and with all of his friends and then put them up for sale on eBay. I've got an eBay store if you're interested. Just search up WarbossTae and you can find it pretty easily. It's where I'm putting up all of my painted miniatures. And let's set these Krieg boys on the side for just a second so I can get my ashen circle. So these guys, if you've missed my previous live streams, these are word bearers. And I know most people are like, word bearers, they're not red. No, they're in the pre-heresy color scheme of the their original legion's name was the Imperial Heralds, and what their job was to go into these worlds that they were trying to conquer, and they would use these swords to grab onto statues and pull them down, and they would use these guns, melta guns and flamers, to burn and destroy all of their holy texts of their enemy, so that they would have no choice but to. It was kind of like a shock and awe tactic to terrify the worlds that they were attacking and invading. And so when they became the word bearers, Lorgar, their Primarch, their big daddy, had them change from the Imperial Herald scheme, which is a light stone gray color, to the characteristic red and silver and black that we see them in. It's a little history. I kind of always talk about them because I think some people always message me. So I like to do a little like history lesson on these miniatures. I love this color scheme for the word bearers. I think it's fantastic, this light gray stone color. And it's kind of sad that not more miniatures do it. In fact, I think it's kind of sad that not more Space Marines do their original Legion's colors and heraldry. The only other Legion I can think of that you can see, they have like Horus Heresy models, like Space Marines that do the original Legion colors, is the World Eaters, where you can see a lot of miniatures are painted in the old Warhounds color scheme, which is like, instead of World Eaters white with blue accents, they're like blue with white accents. And the iconography is not the World Eaters like Jaws, but they're a red like dog, a warhound rearing up on its hind legs. I think those look pretty cool. I'm always interested to see these Space Marine armies with the colors of their heresy during the Horus Heresy era, and their colors pre-heresy during the Great Crusade era. I gotta check because I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking, and I feel like not enough. Am I missing chats? The chat's not really moving. Ah, okay. I've been missing all the chats. Holy cow, look at all these chats I've been missing. Okay, let me check. Holy cow, I've missed so many chats. Okay, man. Here we go. Sri Krishna, hello. Nova Prime, hello. What do you use to top coat? To top coat, is that like what is top coat? I'm not sure what top coat means. To varnish, I like to use Dull Coat's clear coat, or Tester's Dull Coat, I mean, to like protect my miniatures, to varnish. Yeah, Skull Muncher, I'm not sure either. If so, just multiple layers of watered down paint on the model's main color. To seal the paint, yeah, to seal the paint as a varnish, matte medium. Okay, everybody answered my question down in the chats. You mentioned selling. 2 questions. Where are you based? I'm in California, Northern California, and I do take commissions. If you're interested in commissioning my work, if you like what I'm painting and you'd like something similar, then please contact me at WarbossTae Studios, all one word, WarbossTae Studios at gmail.com for a quote. You have some sick models. Thank you, Reski. We like our paints thick, like Nurgle soup. I'm actually using a wet palette from Army Painter. I do try to practice what I preach about thinning paints. Sometimes they just look a lot thicker. I need to do more multiple coats of paint, I think. Games Workshop makes both. Imagining a responsible adult. You're willing to play will eventually come back when your kids get older. Oh, I hope so. I would use Munitorum varnish spray, but I heard it frosts easier. I have a can of that Ankafade. I haven't worked up the courage to use it. I might try to just varnish like a Night Goblin or something just to see how bad it frosts. Do you miss the old metal models? I just got some metal rattlings, and even though they're not detailed, I think they look better than the new ones. I do. Kale, you know what? There's just something about the old metal models that make them feel like resin too. you feel like you're painting like a piece of art, especially with metal because they're so heavy. With plastic, you don't get that. With resin, you feel like you could see the detail. I think there's more of an unconscious acceptance that it takes more effort to make a resin model. So I feel more like I'm painting a piece of art. When I'm painting a plastic miniature, I feel like I'm painting a game piece. So I enjoy painting metal more just for that reason. Look at that. My Ashen Circle is complete. This actually also completes my oath. My oath of moment for the week was to paint 5 Ashen Circle miniatures, and it is not yet even Saturday, so each miniature is going to count. Because I fulfilled my oath of moment, that means that each miniature is going to count as 3 miniatures for the 5,000 painted miniature goal that we're trying to reach by the end of August. And I'm still tabulating all of the work that everyone's been doing, churning through their backlogs and their piles of shame. So if you're interested in joining us and trying to help us beat the 5,000, help us reach the 5,000 painted miniatures goal, then just join the Discord and get the painting. The goal is the point is you just paint the miniatures you have in your backlog, or whatever miniatures you're working on, just commit them to be painted. And what I did was I swore an oath of moment. In this case, I would paint these 5 miniatures before Sunday. And because I completed my oath for this goal, they're gonna count as 3 points or 3 miniatures each. That's 15. Oh man, what a good feeling. You can go big and say, oh, I'm gonna paint an entire combat patrol by Saturday, but I didn't wanna risk it. So this is all I was able to handle. And I'm really glad I was able to get it done. Okay, 55 now with 16 likes. Let's go. That's right. Now we're at 22. This is amazing. Currently painting zombies and all sorts of undead creatures for Zombicide. Very cool, Belphegor. The only Kakashi. The model does look more like 30K. After I get the Saturnine kit, I'm going to get the Knight Defender. Nice, the one from the past. I should make a Deathwatch Marine. Ankafade, you've inspired me enough to paint along with you. Nice. Busting out my Gunpla right on. That's why I prefer 3D paint printing. Yep. I got an Ultramarine starter kit for my 20th last year. Oh, okay, that's really cool. As my first mini painting set, it was very fun. But would you have any tips for someone with an essential tremor? Yeah, I do. I give this tip sometimes. Let me move this back. Move these guys out of the way. And I think, Ankafade, that was when I got your super chat too, right? This is so cool because I felt like my chat was frozen because the messages weren't moving on my end, but I'm glad you guys were still talking and chatting and didn't give up on me in this live stream. So this is my tip for anyone with shaky hands, or you feeling like nervous and unable to keep your hands still while you're painting. You want to get a painting handle. This is a Games Workshop painting handle. One of my most popular videos is how I'm dogging on this thing because it can't fit like a large Terminator-sized base. It actually can, but I feel like you need a third hand because you got to pull it open wide enough, like to its maximum length, and then shove that Terminator base in. For regular infantry models, though, it's absolutely fine. It's perfect. I think most people who've seen that video are like, oh, you just need to learn how to use it. You're so stupid. It's like, no, I know how to use it. It's just not ideal if you're trying to paint a Terminator-sized model. So you want to get a painting handle. If you don't want to spend money on the Games Workshop one, you could just get an old paint pot or a prescription pill bottle, something that's tube-shaped like this, round, something your hand can grip easily without causing stress, because you don't want to cause any stress to your knuckles, your fingers. That's what's going to cause long-term nerve damage. Then once you have your handle, you want to make sure it has a flat surface on top. Then you just take some poster tack or sticky tack and you put that there. Then you can shove your model right on top of it and make it stick. That way, the best reason that I can give you for using a painting handle, any kind of painting handle, whether it's a piece of cork, a pill bottle, or a Games Workshop one, is because you don't want to be gripping the base and holding it still with your fingers, because the base surface area is so small, you're gonna have to curl your fingers so that you can hold the base steady. And while you're working on this one model, you're constantly putting pressure right around here. And this is gonna cause nerve damage to you and not be good long term, especially when you're painting 100 miniatures. And already I'm feeling the strain from just holding this base like this. But you need to be able to easily turn your model in different directions without causing stress on your hands. If you want to get to all the hard to reach places, you need to be able to turn the model and easily hold it. Then, once you've got your painting handle ready, you take your wrists and you just brace them. Like there's a little hollow in each of your hands. So I like to just angle them so that it rests easily and nicely. That way, when this action is going, all you have to do is hold, like I put my hand here on the table, then with my wrists locked in place, all I'm doing is maneuvering with my fingers on my right hand, my painting hand. And there's like no stress caused on my fingers. I can paint for hours if I wanted to, and my hands are never gonna hurt. And also, pro tip, your forearms should be braced against the edge of your table. So this way you're giving yourself like 2 points of or 3, I guess if you count both hands, 3 points of contact with your table, your wrist, your 2 arms, and then you've got your hands braced so your fingers aren't going to be shaking and you're going to be stable. So that's my pro tip for every painter. You got to brace your hands, you got to have your handle and your brush stable, and this is the easiest way that I found to do it. Some people use like fancy setups, like fancy painting handles and magnifying glasses and all sorts of things, but the main thing it comes down to is that you need to have your model still, and you need to reach the places you need to in order to paint all the detail, like eyeballs. Eyeballs are the worst. All right, now that that's done, have you ever done a Gundam model kit? I have never. Hold your wrists together. Oh, look at this. Everybody answering the same question. I have D&D miniatures from 1975, Raul Partha. You, Patrick Stevens, have some history there. Fantastic. Those are cool. Rezki, hi. Welcome. Ankafe, don't think I learned Warhammer lore today. It's pretty interesting. Infowars, fake news, hello. I love Alex Jones. I love watching him. He's crazy. You have sick models. Thank you, Rezki. It's possible to take gold fleck from gold paint if you don't shake it. Warhammer is cool stuff. I agree. I painted an entire World War II set from Axis and Allies. Yeah, Axis and Allies is a great introduction for people into miniatures. Ah, that makes sense. I should buy a handle. Those look neat. Very smart. Thank you. Last time I tried, I just kept shaking so bad. Yep, the shake is it's gonna happen until you find the comfortable way for you to address it. I found that you can just use known oil to do eyes. That's true. That's true. You could. Let me see if I can find something to demonstrate with. All right, here we go. So I'm going to show you guys my quick and easy how to do some skin and eyes. Here's a Space Wolf in Mark 6 armor with some interesting looking hair and gadgets on his face. So I'm going to use Rackard Flesh to paint his skin. We'll do a quick face tutorial, how I do quick and easy face skin. After thinning down your paints on your wet palette, I always start from the back because you can work your way to the front. And that way you get most of your paint like put down. If you got too much paint loaded on your brush, then I work my way to the front. And if you guys are enjoying my little tips and tricks, you're finding some value in what I'm teaching or sharing, then I hope you consider joining the Discord, hitting that like button, subscribing if you're not already, all that good stuff. And if you're feeling extra generous and want to help out my stream and put a really big smile on my face, then super chats are open, and I would greatly appreciate it. They go to paying for my monthly. My lady boss said, I'm only gonna let you buy coffee with your super chats. So I have enough coffee to last me the next month, but if you feel like helping me out into July, then that's where all of my super chat funds are going, keeping me caffeinated during my live streams. All right. I'm gonna skip most of the face tutorial and get right to painting the eyeballs. So at some point when you're done painting the skin and it's time for you to get ready to paint the eyes, what I do is I take my black paint, I make sure my paintbrush is at a super sharp point. This one might work. This one might be too big, but I'm gonna try it. This is my workhorse brush, so it does everything for me from like base coats to sometimes eyeballs. And then, excuse me, Mr. Krieg, we're doing eyeballs right now. Zoom in. All right, so to do eyeballs, I do a horizontal slash. So because I'm holding my my painting handle, I'm gonna brace my wrists. I'm gonna turn it so that I can do a horizontal slash by doing an up-down motion. So even though it's a horizontal slash, I'm doing it up-down by way of holding the brush. See, and this is much easier for me than doing like a left to right. I just did what was easiest for my hand, and I did a horizontal line right there, boom. Then I take my white paint, and you don't even have to be like a bright white paint for this. You could do like an Ulthuan gray. You could do like a very light gray color. I would recommend you don't use a bone color though, like wraith bone or like a flesh color, because those tend to lean more into like the yellow ivory. My favorite white paint is this, Pro Acryl's Bold Titanium White. This is the last white paint you will ever buy. It is so good. It covers so well. And I remember when Games Workshop came out with their white paint, the first one before Korps White. Korps White is pretty good, but their first white paint experiment was called White Scar. And that paint was a big fat waste of money, and it was the worst product I've ever used. But I found Bold Titanium White, and I've never gone back to Korps White. But Korps White is it's like the best white paint that Games Workshop has. It's got good coverage. So same thing, I'm gonna hold my painting handle so that I'm actually painting vertical, but you want it to be like a horizontal dot. Maybe not a dot, like a horizontal line within the black line. And what you're doing by this is you're creating a natural eyeliner effect. That's why I don't paint the white eyeball first. I paint the black line so that the white inside you can still see a little bit of that black around it. If you paint over the entire black line that you originally did, then don't worry, you can always tighten it up. And I'll show you how I did that. Now I'm gonna actually paint a diagonal slash from the nose down away. So from the upper right to the lower left. And you don't even have to paint this. Sometimes you could just have it on the tip of your brush and just gently angle it so that you can just press it into place. And then it creates, he's kind of looking a little bit to the left. There you go. And then I just take my black paint and I tighten up the white. You can even start from the cheek and push it up a little bit, like that. Still a little buggy. Oh, I covered the entire thing. All right, so I mean, you kind of get the idea. If you do what I just did and you cover up the entire eyeball, then just go back with your white paint, and it's actually not too bad. You know what? It's not too bad. It's not too bad. I think I can actually fix it. Everything about painting is actually, I say this a lot, but 99% of painting is just fixing and trying to find where the problem is so you can fix it. Now, if I wasn't doing this live on live stream, what I would do is step away, let this sit for a minute, and come back when the black paint is dried. But because I'm doing it on live stream, I'm just gonna show you how I would fix this problem. I would take, when I tried to cover it, it was still visible under my primer. What I would do is wait for a while, maybe like 10 minutes, go work on something else. You're too close, you're too heated, you're too amped up from the excitement of painting and screwing up that trying to fix it might just make the problem worse. But I think it's pretty dry now. So I would take my Rakarth Flesh. I think I know how to use non-oil for eyes. I'll talk about it in a second. And then just paint from the bottom of the mistake, push the color up, and push in that eyeliner as much as possible. And then just stop whenever you want to, stop where you feel comfortable. Ta-da! Now it looks pretty darn good, especially from far away, from a distance away. It looks like he's got a little bit of some sunkenness in his eyes, but it creates a shadow. Yeah, it creates, or yeah, with known oil, it creates the shadow, the illusion of eyes. Small enough to be stupidly precise. Yep. This brush is a size 1. I'm pretty proud of that. Like, look at that. That looks like not too bad. I wouldn't do this with everybody. Well, maybe I would. I do it with all my Cadians. The trick is, like I showed, if you make a mistake, don't let that be the end of the world, and don't start from the beginning. See if you can salvage it by just going back a step, and then see if I can push even just a little bit more. Yeah, I don't want to go too much, but that looks even better right there. Look at that. I got rid of some of the black shadow by his nose, and then I left some of that in the lower left corner. I'm really happy with that. What primer do you use? I use Uniform Gray from Army Painter. It's pretty similar to Mechanicus Standard Gray. And there you go, how to paint eyes. If you guys enjoy that, please don't forget to hit the like button. I'm pretty pleased with how that came out. That could have been a disaster, but I'm really happy with that. Maybe we'll do a let's do a blonde hair tutorial next. We'll come back to the Krieg. The Krieg guys aren't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. All right. Excited for the new edition of Horus Heresy? Yes, I am, Tafu Shark. I'm super excited. My plan is to take all of the Mark II Space Marines and to do like a series of videos on painting them in their Horus Heresy colors. I'm gonna really enjoy doing that. All right, so I'm gonna show you my quick and easy way to do a dirty blonde hair effect. Sorry, I gotta keep it in frame, You know what, I can back out a little bit. We can see more of it. What chapter are you painting? This is Space Wolves. Space Wolves in Horus Heresy had a dark gray color scheme. And not the powder blue one that they do in Warhammer 40K. But I'm not gonna paint the rest of this armor today. We're just doing some little like mini tutorials. And just so we get them out of the way, I'm gonna paint the bionic eye. Do you prime with can or airbrush? I prime with can. The Saturnine Dreadnought needs to be a salamander. Hey man, that Dreadnought looks so cool. I was gonna make my Saturnine all Imperial Fist. Yep, that'll look great. That Saturnine Dreadnought looks so massive. Did you guys see somebody took a picture of it for a Warhammer community article as a, painted up as a World Eater. It looks so good. I think any chapter you paint the Dreadnought as is gonna look good. Somebody commented in one of my videos, a really interesting comment though, that the Terminators, if you look at the way the Saturnine Terminators, like the body looks, it looks like they're riding like in a saddle because of how the legs are, how they're so spaced far apart, as opposed to like a Terminator from Warhammer 40K, which looks like a Space Marine in giant Terminator armor. The Saturnine Terminators look like, what did he say? Like it's a teenager with a really huge thigh gap, like a female athlete with a really big thigh gap. And now I can't unsee it. It's terrible. Love the World Eaters. Yeah, I did. You know what? I put it in the Discord. If I didn't put it in the Discord, I'll post a picture of it, because I saw it on Twitter, and then you know how when you refresh your Twitter feed, it just like gets yeeted into the ether. So I don't know where I saw it, or it looked like it was a Warhammer community article, but it was a bunch of Mark II Marines painted as World Eaters with the Saturnine Dreadnought, and it had like the blue giant shoulder pads, and it had the Warhounds symbol on it. The actual reason I got into Horus Heresy is because I was playing a game and started getting mods for it. I couldn't find any good 40K mods, so I got 30K mods. Now it's the main model range I collect. Nice. I saw someone put like Imperial Knights shoulders on a Firstborn and called it a Saturnine Kit Bash. Yeah. I saw a picture of like artwork of like a Terminator where the shoulder pads like started up here and they went all the way down to the floor. And it was like 90% shoulder pads. It was great. All right, after your XV88 dries, then you come back in with some Steel Legion Drab. And this is, like I said, a dirty blonde. It's not a golden platinum blonde. This is a dirty, dirty blonde effect. And with hair, my favorite thing to mention when I'm teaching how to paint hair is if you want to get these highlights to really pop, you want to make sure that you're painting the highlights at the root, at the tip of the hair, and halfway up the strand. All right, then we're just gonna go to the final color. It's Xandri Dust. If you want to go lighter with these highlights, you could do a Rackhearth Flesh, but I found as the final color, Xandri Dust works pretty well, because these guys they're not pretty boys. They're not Blood Angels blonde. They're Space Wolf blonde. So I'm trying to emulate like Fat Thor in Avengers Endgame. That kind of dark and dirty blonde hair. All right, and there it is. Some painting tutorials on how to do eyeballs, how to do a dark and dirty blonde hair. And now that he's done, we're gonna move on to my Death Korps of Krieg. I wanna finish those. Now that I finished my Ashen Circle, which I'm so happy I finished, we're gonna move to this 10-man squad. I don't even know what I have left to do for them. I know I've got I gotta do the Aquillas on their helmets. Thank you. Reminder, Blood Angels are still space vampires. It may look pretty now, but when covered in blood. Yep, that's right, Top of Shark. Thank you, Meme Wazowski. I actually wasn't planning on doing anything like that. But I think somebody asked about doing eyeballs, and I was like, I'll show you how I do eyeballs. See, I love how the Black Templars contrast paint really made the black of the helmets and the shoulder pads look this like dark black iron. It works especially well with the eye lenses for the gas masks. I like that my Krieg infantry look soulless and alien, and with their gas masks, the black eye lenses really do it. I've seen that. I think the official artwork says that the eye lenses are red, and I don't agree with that. I think that's not as interesting as like black soulless eye lenses like staring at you. All right. I love how they've all got these little packs on their chest. Sometimes if I could see them, then I will try to paint them. The way I paint them is I take my bold acryl white, just paint the like dial reading in the center, and then take some corn red, because it's dark. I like corn red better than Mephiston red for stuff like this. And then Space USSR. Oh, I missed some stuff. Okay. Hello, Owen. Scrolled up and realized the Gunpla and Warhammer community have different terminology for some things. Oh, really? I didn't know that. What do you guys call the things you use to cut out parts? I call these clippers. Clippers, hobby clippers. Any tips on highlighting black? I tried gray and it looks great, but any other ways I can use? Yes, I will show you. I will show you the Orochi. The soulless look works so much better, really shows what they go through. Yep, I agree. And then they look just more inhuman. Okay, so I've let the white dry for a little bit. I'm gonna go back and clean up. It looks a little messy. The white spilled out into the rest of the machine. But I take my red and I just try to nudge it into the corner, because you're creating the danger zone. And I always get this part on the silver. That's why I don't fix the white until I'm done painting the red, because now, as you can tell, it's a big mess. So I'm gonna let it dry for a minute, then we're gonna go back. Can actually fix a little bit around it here. The way my lights and camera are set up too, it's kind of hard for me to reach everything. So it's not an excuse, but I mean, I'm just saying, I'm usually not as bad when I'm painting. There we go. And now you can see some of that silver paint has gotten onto the bag. Corn red looks really good. Yeah, it does. On your nights, dude. The colors, like the Death Watch black with a dark red, looks just fantastic. I actually don't have any Mournfang Brown, which is the color I use to paint all the leather and straps and everything. So I'm gonna just highlight it as if I meant to use this color. There. And there you go, a little rebreather action. I'm gonna fix it up when I don't have a camera stuck right in front of my face. Popcorn, Colin Crott, all right. Blood Angels are not space vampires. Night Lords are. I came from building Gunpla, and I also call them nippers. Oh, interesting. The Blood Angels literally are space vampires. Yeah, they eat, don't they eat brains to get like memories of like their victims? Yeah, I love them. I love them. You know what? If you've checked out my recent Blood Angels projects, I painted some Death Company. I made their armor look real ornate and gilded and beautiful and embroidered. But the one guy that didn't have a helmet on, I wanted to paint him like a vampire, like a really horrific looking bloodless, soulless vampire monster. Because I think that that contrast of the beautiful armor and the Baroque style and all of that artistry combined with how horrible they are, I think that's my favorite. That's my favorite thing. That's like the contrast. I love that stuff. All right, Orochi. Check this out, Stegodon Scale Green. When you highlight black with a dark bluish tone, you create a completely different aesthetic and look, one that's very interesting. I always like consider it more like not expensive looking, but I would highlight Black Templars with gray because they're so like they're warriors, right? And their black gets scuffed and put into battle. But something like the Death Watch, I would highlight with this dark blue color, either this or like Incubi Darkness, and then it will create this depth that makes it look more like onyx rather than gray, which creates a lighter look. So give it a shot, Incubi Darkness or Stegodon Scale Green. You could also do like a pure blue, like Cantor blue, but I don't think that's as interesting to look at. I think the pure blues look a little too, I don't know, like boring. I use pure blues on to highlight my Night Goblin's black robes, and they didn't come out quite as interesting. Yeah, the thirst. Yeah, definitely. Check out my my Blood Angels videos, my Death Company. I did a bunch of videos on my Death Company, how to paint. And then if you can get the transfer sheet, the Forge World transfer sheet, I added a bunch of the transfer sheets from the 30K Forge World Blood Angels Legion. They look really good on the Dreadnought. I also added candles, I think, to the Dreadnought because he's like an ancient, right? So, and I think just the artistry of the Blood Angels, it makes them look so good. All right, I don't have, oh man, I think I left my muddy ground texture paint. I think I left that at my in-laws. Or actually, hold on, maybe I didn't. Let me check. Oh yeah, boy. I did pack it. Yeah, candles are great. Look at this goodness. Oh yes. The junk thing is that I don't have a good brush for applying this stuff. Yeah, I'll use one of my Walmart. Lick it. No. I use one of my Walmart, like $3 for a pack of 20 brushes. I'm getting a lot of work done tonight, chat. I finished my Ashen Circle. I'm about to finish this whole squad of Death Korps Krieg infantry. Then we'll take a look at what's next. I think I was gonna paint that Space Wolf Dreadnought, but I'm not too set on what I want to do for his colors yet. And I got to make sure I know what's going to be painted gold and silver and all that. So I like this trench, the trench look of the muddy ground. It looks like they're in the trenches. Any guys that are running, I like to put the mud on the bottom of their boots. But if they're not running, then I don't mind if the top of their boots are not caked in mud. I think anybody who buys this off of eBay will appreciate me not just covering these things in mud. I kind of want to make it look like almost like they just teleported in. Like they're going to be a little bit muddy. I'll put some mud on their boots a little bit, but I'm not going to cake it on them. Slurp, slurp, slurp. Night Lords are cool. I ordered, like they have people that do like the 3D printing of bits, right? So I ordered some pretty cool looking bits for my Night Lords off of Etsy, I think. And then I put them on my miniatures, and now I just, like, I gotta work myself up to painting them. Because they're not the Nemesis kill team. I didn't buy that. I put them onto the Chaos Space Marines Legionnaires, which are like totally different from the Night Lords kill team. Reminding me of the sandy dirt my set came with. It gets everywhere. Your set came with texture paint? Nocturnal Foxboy? I think another cool way to use this texture paint too would be if you like slather it onto some of the armor plates of like a Nurgle Death Guard Plague Marine, then just paint it green with the rest of his armor. I think the texture, this gritty dirt and mud texture would work pretty well for a plague Marine. Yeah, it was a tannish sandy texture paint for the base. Oh, interesting. Interesting. There's no heroes in Warhammer. I have a book from, I think it's the late 80s or the early 90s called Ignorant Armies. And it was like a Warhammer fantasy book. I think it was the first time Felix and Gotrek were in a story together. Like they were already acquainted, and it was a short story. It was called Geheimnisnacht. And it was a story about Felix and Gotrek stopping at a roadside inn and stopping a ritual on the most like Halloweenish night in the Warhammer fantasy universe, right? And there's a bunch of great stories in there. But I want to say the Felix and Gotrek story was maybe one of the only ones with a happy ending. It wasn't even a happy ending. Like it turns out that all the cultists they killed were, I don't want to spoil it, but it was not a happy ending for anyone except Felix and Gotrek because they get to live. And most of the other stories in that book of short stories ended up pretty negative for the hero or the protagonist of the story. And some of them were like backwards happy endings because the hero turns out to be like a villain in making, and it's like the first steps on his road to villainy. So it's like, oh, okay. You lived and you survived and you got powerful, but now you're going to be a super bad guy. Stuff like that. So anytime I hear the argument or I see the argument on Twitter, oh, there's no good guys in Warhammer, there's no... Warhammer is full of villains and evil people, especially in Warhammer 40k, then I'm like, yeah, it's kind of always been part of the whole grimdark aesthetic, that it's not a setting where good guys come out on top. If you're like naturally a good guy or a virtuous person, it's not like a Final Fantasy where you can be a hero and remain a hero. And then there are some stories where you goodness prevails and the good guys win, and those are like the exception to the Warhammer setting. So I do like to read all kinds. Like when you look at the End Times, which was the last big narrative event for Warhammer Fantasy before they completely got rid of the setting until Old World. A lot of those stories were like basically send-offs for all of our favorite characters in Warhammer Fantasy. Like, okay, we're gonna end this setting, we're gonna kill everybody and blow up the entire universe. So let's give a good send-off to all of these heroes that you've grown to love through the setting of the game. I also have this texture paint. That's like a diorama, like a texture paint, right? Like basing paint. I guess I'll call it basing paste. That's meant to look like sand, like a desert. I like to make it look like a sandy beach though, and I use it for basing my Carcharodons, which are like space sharks. Space sharks, marines, space marines. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time saying that. And they look pretty fun. It's like they're on the beach, having a beach day. All right, would you recommend Warhammer Snap Kits? I heard you guys mostly just cement stuff together. Yeah, liquid cement is the way that I like to go, because liquid cement will literally melt your miniatures together. And I think that is a much more like effective way to glue them than to just like super glue. What super glue does is it hardens and the two pieces join together, right? And they're stuck together. But what plastic cement does is it melts the plastic. So when you push the two plastic pieces together and that cement dries, they're pretty much bonded because they're melted together. And I don't think you have anything like that for resin. Can't think off the top of my head. Okay, so happy that I'm done with them. Now, the trick is I did these test models way back in the day when I had a Krieg transfer kit, and I did 113 for their shoulder pads. So the trick is now I got to look through all of my transfer sheets for my one Death Corps of Krieg Death Rider transfer sheet to see if I can find some more 113 shoulder transfers. Hello, I use the Revell plastic glue. I haven't heard of it. I want to check it out now. My favorite plastic glue is from Testers. I used to use the one with the red label. This is non-toxic liquid cement for plastic models. So this does not have a terrible odor to it. Like my Lady Boss has very sensitive, like a very sensitive sense of smell, and she can smell the red liquid cement from like a mile away, from across the house, and it like burns her nose. Like she can tell if I'm gluing models together. And it's also not good for my babies, right? So I switched to this non-toxic liquid cement, and now when I use it, there's no odor. Oh, look at that. Gross. I think it's because I tried to clear the chamber, and it got all gooey. Oh no. Oh, gross. I'm not even gonna say what that looks like. So I gotta find some transfers. Now, I don't know, what can I work on after this? I wanna work on this Space Wolves Warhammer 30K Dreadnought just because it looks so awesome. It's a Forge World model. 90% of the work is already done because the person I bought this from was nice enough to spray prime it in gray. Maybe I'll work on the wolf tonight. Yeah, I'll do the wolf pelt. But let's see first if I can find Death Korps Krieg transfer sheet. And most of you know this, I've talked about it a while, but I've been at my my in-laws' place for the past couple months, helping my in-laws move, and I've had to like move a lot of my studio because this is kind of what I do for work now, and like moving back and forth when you have a bunch of small children. So before I continue that story, it was actually the Cadian transfer sheet. There's the 113s right at the top. It was a little difficult. So I don't like know off the top of my head where everything is, but I do know where all of my eBay stock is. So if anyone buys something off of my eBay store, then, oh, thank goodness, at least I know where that is. I do need to find my Krieg transfer sheet though, because for my sergeant here, I like to put the word Krieg on their chainsword. So for now, I will just put on these 113s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I think I've got 8 right here. And then they're not Cadian, but let's put on a trying to see what's gonna fit. Yeah, we'll do an Aquila. This is my favorite part, picking transfers. It reminds me of I don't know, when you're young and they have like those little sticker books where you can decorate and dress up the characters. I used to have like a Mickey Mouse and a Minnie Mouse one that was so much fun. All right, yeah, I think that's the best. That's the best. Now let's see if I could find the Krieg transfer sheet. This is gonna be tough because I'm really, like I have a whole stack of transfers because I've grown to really rely on them. I just, when I put them together for transport, I gotta make sure I know where they all are. I need to do a better job of organizing them. Krieg, Cadian, like Cadian, Ultramarines, Iron Warriors, bugger. Yeah, I think I'm not gonna be able to find that Krieg transfer sheet. I don't remember who was asking me earlier about it, but this is the trim that I use for the Blood Angels, for my Blood Angels Death Company. It's like this beautiful golden, ornate looking flowy script. And what I would do is cut out a little portion of it and then put it on the tops of their of the jump packs. And see, if I was to do like another dreadnought, like a Leviathan Dread, what I would do is put the trim so that it goes like up the armor plate. I think that would look really cool, like right up the side there. If I was gonna do like another Death Company, I think the gold looks really nice on black. I don't think you can see it as much on red, but that's what I really like using the Blood Angels transfer sheets for. All right, maybe the Krieg transfer sheet is in the other bag. Give me 1 second, chat. Hold on, I'll be right back. Nippers. I don't think I've ever called it or heard it called nippers before. All right, I don't see it anywhere, unfortunately. So it looks like we're gonna have to I guess hold off on that. Maybe I can find some more Krieg transfers. In the meantime, we are going to get going with the rest of these shoulder unit designations of 113. 113 is the opposite of 311. Whoa, amber is the color of your energy. All right, hit there. My last live stream, I could not for the life of me find my tweezers that I use for applying transfers. It was in my paint box, but it was like buried down the side of it, so I got it right here. I hear one of my babies crying. Oh man, it's rough. Sleep training is rough. We decided that we're not going to abandon our children, like lock them in their rooms overnight. The doctor said to do that, and for us, that might work for most, or for other families. I'm not gonna say most, but if you're a parent and you remember what it was like sleep training your kids, we're not gonna do that. I think we're gonna try to sleep train our kids so that if they cry, hopefully they don't, but if they cry, they wake up, they can't settle, then we will go inside. Like the popular way of teaching sleep training is that you let your kids scream all night long and then they put themselves back to sleep, and you don't go in to help them. That way they don't rely on you to be there, but we just can't do it. We can't listen to our girls scream and not do anything about it. So if I have to, if my girls start screaming and my wife isn't able to get them to settle, then I might have to end the stream so I can go and help. But hopefully it won't come to that, and hopefully we can have a nice, peaceful night. I haven't had one of those in a long time, so fingers crossed. I'm using Microset and Microsol. They're my favorite products for applying transfers. My transfer application technique is basically this is Games Workshop transfer sheets. So these work a lot faster than the Forge World ones. Forge World ones, you have to actually like wait for a while, but the Games Workshop ones, they lift pretty easily. I'm gonna show you how I apply them. You're holding it in your hand with the tweezers. This is like your dominant hand, right? I'm right-handed, so I'm holding it here. My left hand has the paintbrush, and I'm going to literally pull it off of the backing paper. Just enough. How come it's not coming off? All right, just enough so that I can hold it to the model while I pull away the backing paper. Ooh, that could have gone smoother. Practice makes perfect. We'll see if we can get it with the next one. Now, if that happens, then I just take a tool and kind of adjust it to where it needs to be. These Cadian transfers are a little big for the shoulder pads, so you have to make sure that you're centering it on the shoulder pad. I dip my brush in micro set, so it's made the transfer like movable, but the only trick now is that I don't want it to move too much. I want it to just adjust so that I can fold the edges over the armor plate. There we go. It's just a little too big for these resin armor plates. There we go. Can you put 69 on one of them? You could. You could paint it on. I'm not that good though. That's why I use transfers. I don't like to freehand. All right, that was a disaster. Let's see if this one goes any better. All right, I'm gonna keep the ones that I've already finished up here at the top. Move all these other guys down here. All right, here we go, another water slide decal. So, like I said last time, you're holding it with your dominant hand. You're gonna line it up and slowly, oh my gosh, slowly hold it to where it's gonna go and then pull the backing paper away. Smoother. Practice makes perfect though, so we're gonna keep going. Push the number up, get it right so that it's sitting on the armor plate and then fold over the corners. Yeah, they weren't thinking about the future when they made these armor plates for the resin Krieg infantry. These are just barely fitting, but that's okay. You can see them from the table away. How long do you have to wait for Citadel paints to dry before putting on the next coat? Using Abaddon Black, if that matters. Yeah, it does. I would wait like 5 or 10 minutes. The best thing to do while you're waiting for a layer of paint to dry is to go down the line and work on the next member of the squad. It's called batch painting or assembly line painting. That way your paints are always going to be dry when you return to the model. But yeah, if you're just working on one guy or you want to work one miniature to completion, I would say 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the area and how much paint you used. And yeah, if anything, it's like, how much paint did you use? Did you use a lot? Is it like covering an entire area? And does it still look glossy? That's the way you can tell. Does it look shiny and glossy? If so, then probably wait for a little while longer. Hope you guys are having a good time, hanging out, enjoying yourselves, whatever you are up to tonight. I want to thank you for having me along for the ride. Whether you're working or doing any other task, it's my pleasure to be here with you. Practice makes perfect. There's something to be said about that saying, practice makes perfect. I've heard them say perfect practice makes perfect. You have to practice the right way. And that could be true, but I think in something like painting miniatures, the way you find your perfect practice is by doing it, screwing up and repetition. Because one person's perfect could be another person's, pain in the butt. Whew. You guys ever play Operation as a kid? That's what this reminds me of. Getting faster though, so that's good. Who else are you thinking of painting? Well, I know I definitely gotta get to this Space Wolf Dreadnought. I don't know if I'm gonna do him tonight though, or if I want to just work on the wolf pelt and work on the rest of the, because he's got a lot of detail. And you know what I found works really well? If you're painting something, to go check out Joy Toy to see if they made like a toy of whatever you want to paint. Because there is a 30K Space Wolves Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought that looks exactly like the Forge World miniature. So that's what I'm going to paint. Currently painting a Blood Dragon Vampire Duelist from the 90s. It's awesome to recover forgotten miniatures. I agree. I packed up a bunch of old, like, collectors, maybe not collectors, but old vintage Warhammer Fantasy stuff from my home in Hawaii. And this was stuff that I bought like on a whim, like most collectors, and just kind of binned them and didn't ever get back to them. And so now, as I'm cleaning out my garage to see what I can paint on stream and paint for my eBay store, I'm finding them again, and I'm like, I bought this? I bought these blue horror scribes. I bought this Hell Canyon in Finecast. I bought like this Inquisitor team, all in metal. I bought this Legion of the Damned. I bought this Mordian Iron Guard platoon. It's great. It's great to rediscover all your old purchases, especially if you're still, engaged in the hobby. Like I'm gonna want to paint everything I'm finding. So finding them is like a joy for me. But I imagine if I were to like keel over tomorrow and my kids had to clean out all of my Warhammer stuff, they'd be like, what is all this junk? Can I sell it on eBay for like 99 cents? Just get rid of it. It's an investment. I can't throw them away. I'm gotta paint them and sell them on eBay. All right, chat, we did it. We almost folded that one. We got them all put down. Look at that, the entire squad of 113s. So let's take a look. We're almost at 2 hours, and I want to just share with you what I painted tonight and what I was able to do within the last couple of days, just to show you how, if you just buckle down, you lock in. I think that's the phrase the kids use nowadays, lock in, and you just work. You can really like accomplish what you set out to do. Oh man, I'm super proud. I'm super happy of what I was able to do. The only thing, literally the only thing I have to do left for this squad of Death Korps of Krieg is paint their bases black. The rims of the bases need to be painted black, and that's it. Then they're ready to go to be photographed and sent off to the battlefield of eBay to find a new happy home. These guys are all done, painted, rims painted black, miniatures all finished. So excited to get these Ashen Circle miniatures up on eBay as well. Hey, just tried to join the Discord, but I think the link's expired. Oh man, Anka Fade, I'm so sorry. I will, you know what? I'm gonna try to link, I'll try to refresh the link. I don't know why, like it, every time I try to share the link, sometimes it resets it to like a 7-day expiration date. And I tried to set it over and over again to never expire so that I could just keep using the same link. But I will, maybe like if you check any of the other videos, hopefully, fingers crossed, any of the other videos that have the link to the Discord will work. Anka Fade, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna check that and resubmit it. So I don't know. Maybe if you're not able to get into it tonight, then definitely check back tomorrow. I'm gonna refresh the link, and I'm gonna change it up so that it's correct. Man, I'm just like sitting back and like taking it all in. Yeah, you know when you start a project and you have that feeling like, oh, I'm never gonna finish, and you try to pump yourself up to do it, and eventually you finally either give up or you push through it like I did. This is a good feeling. This is a feeling that I want all of you to feel. This feeling of accomplishment and this feeling that, okay, now I can move on to the next thing. And you know what? It's a feeling of not having something hanging over your head. You know what I mean? Like, I hate having miniatures, like unpainted, half-painted miniatures that I started and I had to give up. And like, I always regret not finishing. This is a good feeling to finish these, and then it's going to feel even better once I put them up on my eBay store and then they actually get sold. That's the next goal that I want to finish with them. So let's get going. I'm going to paint the rims black, then we'll see what else we can do on stream tonight. This is not a really good brush to do this with. I like how the muddy ground texture paint I use is pretty dry now. Oh yeah, every time I paint my bases black, they always, I'm gonna have to move it. I have to find like another surface to put them on, just because when I paint the bases black, there's some black paint on the bottom. So if I put them right on my pad here, then it's gonna stain. So I gotta find something else to rest them on. Yeah, I know the one from the past is gonna be painting his Saturnine miniatures as salamanders. What are you guys gonna be painting them as? If you only collect 40K, I imagine it's going to be like an investment to get a Saturnine box just to have Mark II guys. Hey, Anka Fade, you made it. All right. Fantastic. How did you find a working link? Where did you find it? That's crazy, because that means that if it's not working in the description that I gotta change a bunch of them. Welcome to the Discord. Yeah, if you're enjoying this this live stream, I try to live stream nightly. I don't think I've been keeping up with it. This past week has been kind of rough, sleep training the girls. But if you don't see me on live stream, subscribing to my channel, you'll be able to catch all of my shorts that I do in the daytime, and just being able to get on the Discord so you could join the Great Crusade. Remember, the Great Crusade lasts all the way till the end of August, where we're going to be painting, hopefully, 5,000 miniatures around the world. And you can swear an oath of moment every Sunday night. And if you accomplish that goal, then your miniatures painted throughout the week will be worth even more points to help us get to that 5,000 goal. Wouldn't that be amazing? Man, that's going to be such a good feeling to know that like 5,000 miniatures, or the equivalent of, with all of the oaths sworn and everything, were painted that would otherwise be sitting in bins in your garage or in your attics, or still in the boxes in shrink wrap. That's what this community is all about. Getting your miniatures painted so that you feel good putting them on the table. All right, I've got them resting on the side there. What else do I have here? I've got some Night Lords Terminators. Could do a little bit of those before we go. These are Kantakar Terminators from Forge World. The Night Lords are these really big bad dudes, and they're like the closest thing, I think, to an evil army. This hook broke off. Gee, darn it. It's the only thing with resin figures, any kind of resin figures. I think you do have to be careful, because they break so easily. All right, that's not a problem. I think I was looking at my micro set thinking, oh, I should cap that before I drop it. This is like the most successful live stream I've had in a long time. I keep looking at the super chats that came in. Cool guy, those look cool. Like you. I was just gonna say, like you. Got some Ashen Circle word bearers in the back, some Kantakar Terminators in the front. And I'm just gonna do 2 points of contact on this hook here. And oops, excuse me. Spray it with some super glue accelerator. All right. These action figures, no, these are not. These are playing figures for a game called Warhammer. And you paint them. They're in resin or in plastic. And you paint them, and then you play like a tabletop game with them. Roll dice and follow certain rules to do certain missions. And there's a whole community of people who try to learn the game, and people who just want to paint like me. I just like painting. I enjoy the painting side of the hobby. So if you're interested, then you can definitely Google. You know what I love about this game? Henry Cavill plays this game, and he's so knowledgeable about it. He's a big nerd, right? And he likes to play this certain army. So one day I went out and I was like, I want to be like Henry Cavill. I want to be like Superman. And I got a combat patrol of his favorite army, the Adeptus Custodes. These golden boys riding motorcycles and running around with big, beautiful golden armor and shields and banners and stuff. So I want to build this up, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I can build them up, and if I don't like playing them, I can sell them on eBay and make a pretty penny. And then I went and I looked online on eBay and I checked the prices, and it was like, wah, wah, nobody is interested in this army. If you're interested in this army, it's because you like Henry Cavill. Like, nobody wants to spend money on these models if you paint them. So that made me very sad. But look how cool they are. Are you kidding me? Jet bike dudes with lances like that, riding around, and armor, and these beautiful golden Sisters of Silence in golden armor. That looks terrific. So much gold. Yep. I actually bought a spray can of this gold paint called Retributor Armor spray paint, and I love it. It's actually like one of my favorite spray cans to use. I think I'm going to put these guys on the side for now because I want my super glue accelerator to dry. So these were painted for eBay tonight, and I'm really pleased that they're done. So I'm going to put them on the side with all of the other eBay ready minis. I do want to paint the Space Wolf Dreadnought. I need a little bit more prep time to figure out how I'm going to paint the weapon, and if I want to do like ice power claws, like blue power claws with white lightning on them. But I think this is going to be the model that I probably do on live stream tomorrow night. It's a beautiful model, fantastic. In fact, what I want to do tonight maybe is just do the fur pelt on his shoulder, and we'll do like a quick little video guide on how to paint that. I'm only 9, and these look cool. Oh, my brother, I was 9 years old when I started playing Warhammer. It looks like the future mixed with medieval times. Yep, that is what they're going for. 9 years old, oh my goodness. What are you doing still awake? You should be sleeping. So the search for Dark Angels Warhammer Cool Guy 1, 2, 3, 4. They look like Space Knights. Yep. The dark, oh man, the Dark Angels, so good. Do you guys remember back in the day they used to be like Native American themed with all of the feathers and the different like the different motifs? Or was that me? Am I just misremembering that? I feel like I remember that for some reason. Okay, I'm gonna start light with Celestra Gray. I was thinking of starting with Dawnstone, but I'm gonna go a step higher. Yeah, man, this is a dangerous gateway. Time zones. This is a dangerous gateway to be getting into. It's like, oh, what is Warhammer? Oh, my sweet summer child. I'm gonna start with Celestra Gray, and I don't even know why this might not even apply if you're like, how do I paint a wolf pelt? Well, you gotta first prime it in gray. I think a good dry brush is always a valuable tool to have if you're a miniatures painter. So I can at least explain my thinking while painting this, so that if it doesn't exactly come out the way I want it to, at least people will know what my strategy was. I want to create some depth in the folds. So the folds are going to be darker. Everything up here up top is going to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to focus my dry brushing on the edges of the pelt, this center fold up here, which is like I call like the hump of the fold. And then of course you want to see the wolf's face. So we'll do a little bit more focus there as well. Hi, I am in school. Mr. Hive Tyrant, ain't nothing wrong with that, except I hope you're not watching this during school. Because if you are, then, oh boy. These are so cool, OMG, where do I buy them? Ghosty Dingbat, you can go to warhammer.com, hopefully. Or if you want to be able to afford any amount of them, you can go to eBay and look for 3D printed or recasted reprinters and buy them. They call it China cast because a lot of 3D printers from China, this is like their bread and butter. But these are, they were originally called Forge World miniatures for Warhammer 40K. Look at that, that looks so awesome. Oh man, there's nothing like doing like a good fur pelt. So much fun. It's a lot of fun too, especially if you got a good dry brush to get pick up all of the details and the raised edges. Like, look at that wolf's head, look at that wolf's head. Oh, look at that wolf's head. Okay, the fold, the fringe, and the bump. And the last thing I'm going to do is a very light highlight of white. And as you can see, I'm testing out my dry brush on my own arm. My war paint. Sometimes my son wakes up in the morning, and if I'm not able to wash everything off, he goes, "Daddy, were you painting last night?" I say, "Yes, my son. I was live streaming. I was trying to earn enough super chats to put cereal in your bowl." I'm not serious, guys. I'm just joking. I can afford to feed my kids. My eBay sales have been good. I love it. Looks great. All right. The last thing I want to do is paint his teeth. And I'm going to paint his teeth in Rakarth flesh. Something nice and dark, not too bone, like bright bone colored, because of all the highlights we did. The highlights are looking pretty bright, so I'm going to tone it down a little bit with the Rakarth flesh. All right, he looks great. He looks great. I'm gonna do his eyeballs, because you can kind of see his eyeballs. He's got a scar on his face, which is kind of what you assume to be like the killing blow that killed him. So I don't think I'm gonna do anything with that, like add any red or blood or anything, but it's good to know that's there. All right, I'm thinking of doing like some yellow eyes. Are these Warhammer figures? Yes, they are. This is a Space Wolves Contemptor Dreadnought from Forge World. I want to do like a bright yellow, just a dot, peeking out from the darkness. It's gonna be kind of tough because like the point is so small, but I'm gonna attempt it, ladies and gentlemen. Get those super chats ready. So I'm gonna try to do a nice yellow eye for the wolf. Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's spooky. Look at that. That's so cool. That is so cool. I think this side needs a little bit of darkness underneath. Oh, man. I am so stoked. Yeah, it needs a little bit of black paint underneath. But this side, look at that. That is awesome. And I'm not saying like I'm the best painter in the world, but like the model itself is so well done that like if you do something like this, look at that. That looks so cool. Maybe that needs a little bit of cleanup underneath. First I was like, well, what color are Wool's eyes? Would it be more orangish? But I like the like really bright flash gitsy yellow because it's kind of understated, sticking out from the model. Like you don't see it too much, but it makes it look almost like it's still alive. Then we'll add some Agrax Earthshade to his mouth. Maybe to the whole thing. Maybe to the whole pelt. Let's start with his teeth. I don't want to make him like muddy though, like a muddy, dirty brown. So I'll come back to re-highlight that. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? The big bad wolf, the big bad wolf. Or I wonder if we do keep this Agrax Earthshade and we add some known oil. That might work too. Mix it up. I'm just gonna water it down and do the entire pelt, just so there's a little consistency across all of it. I think watered down helps. Then doing this known oil, or should I do Black Templar? That's cool. All right, we'll stick with that. Known oil and Agrax Earthshade. All right, and then I'll come back and clean it up once it dries off. So I'm gonna let him rest for now. He's been through a lot, guys. He's been through a lot. And we will come back. Let's see if there's any gold left from my earlier painting. Let's just test out this gold, see how it looks. All right, it's a little watery. I'll come back with some Necro gold right out the pot, right out the bottle, and then we can work on that. But I think, ladies and gentlemen, at 2 hours in, we might call it right there. And I want to thank you for joining me. If you'd like to send me any last minute super chats, just if you had a great time and you'd like to say thank you, then I would greatly appreciate that. Of course, there's no pressure to do that. If you want to just hit that like button, help YouTube recognize that this kind of content is good, fun, and interesting, and all that kind of stuff, so that it will share my videos with more people. This is one last look at my ashen circle for the word bearers. I got more word bearers too that I would like to paint. I don't know. We'll see. There's so much great stuff coming down the pike for Warhammer 30K. Here's one last look at my Death Corps of Krieg, drying on my wet palette here because I just painted their rims in black, and so they need to be somewhere where they're not going to mess up my my cutting mat here. And let's see if I've got any in reach, some word bearers that might be fun to paint. The thing I like about the word bearers is because every other miniature I've been painting, like the Space Wolves and maybe not the Night Lords, but I've been painting a lot of good guys. So painting some bad guys is a lot of fun. Like this guy. He's a gribbly guy. He is all messed up. He's got some problems. I think he's not even glued in. That's pretty awesome. So I can kind of glue his cannon arm. But like, look, he's all messed up. He's got problems, guys. This guy is all messed up. He's got some stuff hanging out. He's got some growths. This is the character Dreadnought. I believe he's a character. He's like a named character in the Word Bearers lore. He's a Forge World model. And the first thing I gotta do is actually prime him. So because he's gonna be painted in the standard Word Bearers red and black, I want to prime him in gray, I think. But man, look, he's all gross. That's what I love about him. I can't wait to paint him. Maybe we'll get to this guy tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. Thanks for watching me finish my Oath. Battle of the Dreadnoughts. What do you guys think? I'm gonna leave it open to I'm gonna put a link for my channel members. And if you're a channel member, you can vote on this tomorrow or tonight. Let me know what you want to see me work on, this Space Wolves Contemptor Dreadnought or this Word Bearers Abomination. And everybody else, you're free to leave your comments, but channel members, your votes are going to be the ones that really count. So hope to hear from you, and thanks again for watching, you guys, supporting my channel, even if it's just with hitting the like button, leaving me some comments. Appreciate it very much. I hope you have a great night wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you. I'm going to head to bed too, the one from the past. I'm going to see you